We talked yesterday about the sanctification process.
Yeah, that's really what the pause was.
I am totally still, and all of us are, right? We're all still in the sanctification process.
Yeah.
But it brought me to the story of Moses.
Mm-hmm.
And I was reading the story of Moses, and I was like, oh my gosh, yes. And I have all my papers just
let's throw them on the ground. We don't need them anymore.
Falling everywhere.
We're just ditching the notes in the rule
But I
books.
wanted to read it because it cracked me up because God was so good. And I'm like, okay, I hear you.
Yeah, read it.
And in Exodus 4, it says, then Moses answered and said, but suppose they will not believe me or listen to my voice. Suppose they say, the Lord has not appeared to you. You know, there is that for me. Like, what if people are like, why? Who does Rebecca think she is? The Lord is not calling her to that. The Lord is not calling her to this or that. And, you know, they want me to be something different. Then it goes in verse 10, then Moses said to the Lord again. So the Lord kind of settles Moses back down, gives him some guidelines, gives him some direction. Okay, if they don't believe you, this is what you're going to do. And then he says in verse 10, then Moses said to the Lord, oh my Lord, I am not eloquent, neither before nor since you have spoken to your servant, but I am slow of speech and slow of tongue. And then the Lord said to him, who has made man's mouth? Or who makes the mute, the deaf, the seeing, the blind? Have not I the Lord? Now therefore go, and I will be with your mouth, and teach you what you shall say. Okay, but then Moses says again, oh my Lord, please send by the hand of whomsoever else you may send.
Yeah.
He's like,
choose somebody else.
I hear you, but can somebody else just go? And that is like, I was telling you, that is like Moses's fight, flight, freeze response.
Which I love because that is what Rebecca is going to bring is the clinical. Even to Moses, she's like,
fight, flight, freeze.
Yep.
You are panicking. You are in your inner brain. And I'm it makes me go all the way back to like what was going on in his childhood, because Moses' story.
Yeah.
You know, he has some trauma in his story.
Mm-hmm.
And so when we're thinking about his brain, what was going on in the neural pathways in his brain to get him to the point where he didn't believe God. He did not believe God. And he said, not me.
Yeah.
I'm not the one for this.
Yeah.
Well, God's so kind.
Yeah.
But at first, he's like, so the anger of the Lord was kindled.
I think that's important.
Yeah. The anger of the Lord was kindled against Moses. And he said, is not Aaron the Levite your brother? I know that he can speak well. And look, he is also coming out to meet you. When he sees you, he will be glad in his heart. And you shall speak to him and put the words in his mouth. Okay, so he's going to be the one. I'm going to send Aaron to you. And if we look through the whole story, like Aaron was an integral part.
Yeah.
Even with the Israelites and their battle against the Amalekites, Moses needed him and his friend Hur to be a friend and hold his arms up to win that battle. Mm-hmm. But he was also a part of that story that wasn't so great, you know, because we're human beings, and Aaron made that mistake when Moses was up on the mountain to, like, in his impatience and in his desire to please the people, you know, made this golden calf. But God was like, my anger burned against you. Like, can't you just, didn't I already tell you? Didn't I already tell you how I'm going to lead you? But God is always so kind.
I know. And what I love about that, and it was so crazy when you were like, Exodus, because I don't know, 6-8 months ago, I was sitting in the same place. And the same thing stirred in me, where it was like, the Lord was like, but I had to remember. And I think that we get lost in the story of the context of like chronologically, that this is really, there's not a whole lot of history of what God is going to do for the people here. Mm-hmm. He's really revealing himself in new ways and parting the Red Sea with the Israel, like breaking them out of slavery. Like, this is huge. Mm-hmm. And this is the forefront of that. And so there wasn't a whole lot of personal history with the Lord. Like, you know, you and I can go back and we can say, oh, well, God did this before, so he's going to do this now. He moved that mountain, so he's going to move this one. Like, Moses didn't really have a whole lot of that. Mm-hmm. And so for God to say, well, now I'm going to use you to go free the people, and I'm going to tell you what to say in front of Pharaoh. He's going, really, will you? Like, is that what you do?
Right.
And he's like, well, yeah, this is what I do. This is who I made your mouth. But instead of being mad, I don't want to cut you off.
No, keep going.
Instead of being mad and being and going, fine, I'll go find somebody else. No, mm-hmm. He didn't disqualify him. He didn't discredit him. In his disappointment of Moses not at first recognizing that the God of the universe is calling him, and when he calls you, he's mm-hmm. going to equip you, that he then brought him a friend. He brought him his brother, but he brought him alongside him a physical, we need that in the flesh. We need each other. And so it's like, in the loving kindness of the Lord, he gave Moses what was going to be security for him. Fine, I'm going to give you. But it was always the Lord speaking to Moses, speaking to Aaron, speaking to Pharaoh. And then what I love is, like, through the story, you start seeing that Aaron is no longer the mediator. Right. It is the Lord to Moses and Moses to Pharaoh. Mm-hmm. And so we get to see Moses grow in the calling.
That's right.
That he is, and see the Lord fully equipping him and those fears being stripped away. Mm-hmm. And so I feel like that is such a good picture of where we are right now. Yeah. Like, how long have we been talking?
Well, and you know what? What it reminds me of when you said that, and I haven't thought of this before, is that we need women.
Yeah.
And men need men, and we all need each other, but to be the supports.
Yeah.
We need people in our lives who believe in us. And there's been times in my life where I'm like, who in the world is going to believe? Like, who is there to believe in me? Who are those friends who are, like, backing me up? But you know what? God has, I said it a while ago, like, you are one of those people in my life.
Insane.
But in the last 10 years, mm-hmm. God has cultivated multiple women in my life. And I would say that if there is a woman listening today who says, that's what I want. I want that. Why hasn't God given me that? It's like, you got to keep doing it. You just keep going to church, getting involved in that Bible study. Find you, and the reality is that it's going to cost you something.
Right.
Like, I have had to bare my soul.
Yeah.
To get this sort of relationship.
The depth of relationship.
Yes.
Yeah.
I've had to bear it.
Yeah.
And that's risky because you cannot control
bing,
that.
Bing, bing, bing. That's risky. There is risk to obedience. There's risk to yeses. There's risk. There's sanctification is costly.
That's right.
Like, all of this is costly. But we have to die to ourselves and recognize, like, this is bigger than Sarah.
That's right. And when you say this, what is this?
Oh, this.